My name is Vincent, and I have always held the belief that trust is the cornerstone of love. Without trust, love becomes merely an illusion, a beautiful facade that lacks substance. This belief took on a painful reality for me when I was engaged to a woman named Casey. After several years together, I thought we were steadily building a strong future. However, everything crumbled the night I discovered she was still involved with someone else. That moment turned my world upside down, and I feel compelled to share how it all unfolded. Casey and I first crossed paths at a housewarming party hosted by a mutual friend. What began as a light-hearted conversation quickly evolved into hours of deep discussion. We felt an immediate connection and exchanged numbers before the night ended. Initially, we kept things casual, grabbing coffee and enjoying quick lunches whenever our schedules aligned. However, our interactions soon blossomed into dinners, weekend plans, and long late-night conversations. Eventually, we officially became a couple, and our relationship developed at a steady pace. We didn't rush into anything, yet we were also not stagnant. After a couple of years, Casey started spending most weekends at my apartment from Friday evening to Sunday night. It felt natural. Although she never officially moved in, we were practically living together. My place was larger, and while I occasionally visited her apartment, it never made sense for us to stay there long-term. One quality I admired about Casey was her openness. From the beginning, she spoke freely about her past, previous relationships, family issues, and even her mistakes. There were no barriers, at least none that I could discern. She was particularly candid about a childhood friend with whom she remained close, describing him as a brotherly figure who had always been there for her, but never in a romantic sense. I never questioned this. She had never given me a reason to distrust her. Eventually, we became engaged. She enthusiastically accepted my proposal, and we began to plan our future together, discussing wedding venues, honeymoon destinations, and even the type of house we envisioned for our life together. I was fully committed, both emotionally and financially. I was saving diligently, making plans, and striving to create the life she deserved. Everything felt genuine, as if we were in perfect harmony. Yet, sometimes the most compelling images conceal the most disturbing truths. One Friday evening, everything seemed routine. Casey arrived at my apartment with her usual weekend bag, cheerful and talkative. We enjoyed dinner together, during which she mentioned needing to leave early the following day to visit her parents for some family-related matters. I didn't press for details, as I had always aimed to respect her privacy on subjects she preferred not to elaborate on. Having never experienced deception from her before, I saw no reason to doubt her now. After dinner, we settled onto the couch to watch a movie we had been looking forward to. Halfway through, her head gently rested on my shoulder, and she fell asleep, a familiar habit when she was tired. I wrapped my arm around her, allowing her to rest while I continued watching the film. However, during that time, her phone kept lighting up with incoming messages. No sounds, just the screen flickering intermittently. I assumed it was a group chat or something benign. But once the credits began to roll, I leaned forward to wake her and noticed the messages on her lock screen. They were not the type a brother would send. Without a second thought, I entered her passcode. We had shared passwords long ago as a gesture of mutual trust. Unlocking the phone, I anticipated finding nothing significant, but what I discovered shattered my entire perception of our relationship. The messages were from her childhood friend and were laden with flirtation, affection, and inside jokes that left me bewildered. Plans were laid out, specific arrangements for the next day. One message particularly struck me. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Her reply was a heart emoji followed by, "I told him I'll be at my family's. We're good to go." That message had been sent mere hours before, while we were having dinner together. I chose not to wake her. Instead, I sat there in silence, staring at her as she slept, oblivious to the turmoil within me. My heart felt hollow, and my mind raced with questions. How long had this been happening? Had I been blind to the signs? Was I not enough for her? Why would she lie to me just to see someone else? The next morning, she awoke, and everything seemed normal. She kissed me on the cheek, brushed her teeth, and began packing her bag while expressing how much she would miss me and how she wished the weekend could be longer. I barely responded. Her words felt rehearsed, as if she had practiced them in anticipation of her secret plans. At one point she paused, looked at me and asked, "Are you okay?" I merely shrugged and offered a half-hearted response. She laughed, interpreting my demeanor as mere moodiness, teasing me about already missing her. I forced a weak smile, but inside, I was suffocating beneath the weight of my unspoken thoughts. As she zipped up her bag and walked toward the door, I followed her, adhering to our routine. I would typically open the door, and she would give me a kiss or a quick smile before leaving. However, this time, as she stepped past the threshold, I broke from tradition. Instead of offering a casual goodbye, I looked her in the eyes and said, "Good luck on your date." Her expression shifted instantly, confusion washing over her face. She stammered, "Wait, what are you talking about?" Her voice trembled, but I raised my hand gently, indicating that she should stop. I told her there was no need for further explanation, then closed the door behind me. As I walked away, something within me shut down as well. The silence was short-lived. Almost immediately, I heard her knock, loud and frantic, as if she were trying to rewind time, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. The knocking escalated into muffled sobs, and soon she was pleading through the door, her voice cracking as she begged me to listen. My phone buzzed incessantly with incoming messages. I didn't even need to check to know who was reaching out. Yet I did check, and as expected, the messages flooded in one after another. "Please open the door." Me explain. "It didn't mean anything. I'm not going anymore. I'll cut off anyone you want. Just open up." I sat there, staring at my phone, the messages pouring in, but the words felt incomprehensible. She claimed her actions were inconsequential, but if that were true, why the lies? Why the secrecy? Why plan an entire weekend with another man under the pretense of visiting family? I felt emotionally paralyzed, my mind racing through the same questions repeatedly. Was our entire relationship merely an illusion? Did she truly love me as I had loved her, or was I simply a convenient choice? Someone stable and available while she navigated her feelings for someone else? Had he always lingered in the backdrop? Had she ever truly moved on from him, or had I merely been a placeholder in her life? I chose silence. I didn't open the door, nor did I respond to her texts. After hours of crying, knocking, and pleading, she eventually left. But that was just the beginning. The days that followed were filled with anguish. Each morning, especially in the first few days, I awoke to a barrage of unread messages. She no longer concealed her desperation. Her texts became raw, succinct, and arrived at all hours. "Please talk to me. I didn't mean to hurt you. Me explain. I miss you." One late night she wrote, "I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I'll keep asking until you tell me to stop." I never blocked her. I rarely opened her messages, choosing instead to glance at them on the lock screen before setting my phone aside. The temptation to respond was always there, of course. I had loved her deeply, but each time I felt close to giving in, I remembered her betrayal, the deception that had shattered my trust. Then one weekend there was another knock at my door. I hesitated before moving. I sat on the couch, hoping she would eventually leave, but she remained persistent. After a long silence, she knocked again, this time with more urgency. Then came her voice pleading, "Vincent, please. I'm not here to argue. I just need to talk." I stayed silent, hoping she would leave, yet she didn't. Minutes passed, and I finally heard her voice crack as she spoke. "You were right. Messed up. But please at least let me explain." That was when I decided to open the door. I said nothing, merely looking at her and waiting for her to continue. She confessed to being emotionally confused, clarifying that she hadn't rekindled love with him, but rather missed a part of her past. She admitted to lying and claimed she never thought I would find out, which is why she felt secure in her actions. She repeated that it didn't mean anything, but if that were true, why all the secrecy? Why the lies? That very fact indicated that it meant something significant. I allowed her to speak until she had exhausted her explanations. When she finally fell silent, looking at me for some reaction, I posed the crucial question. Would you have told me if I hadn't found out? She froze, her mouth opening and closing without words, her gaze dropping to the floor, lips trembling, but she remained silent. In that silence, I heard the truth clearly. If I hadn't checked her phone, if I hadn't discovered those messages, she would have gone away that weekend, returned with a smile as if nothing had happened, and continued our wedding plans. I stepped back and she looked up, her eyes filled with fragile hope, perhaps believing I would forgive her. But I didn't. I told her that our engagement was built on lies, and I refused to construct a marriage on that foundation. She began to speak again, but I gently raised my hand to silence her. I had no anger left, just a calm conviction as I said, "Please don't message me anymore. Don't come here. Don't show up again. Let this be the last time." Then I turned and locked the door behind me. She stood there for a moment, her eyes filled with pain before finally leaving. People often say that love is built on trust. I never imagined I would find myself questioning everything I believed. But the moment I uncovered Casey's deception, it wasn't just my trust that shattered. It felt as though my love had fractured too. It's a peculiar realization to discover how wrong you can be about someone. You can invest your time, energy, and emotions into a person and still be blindsided. That realization is what cuts the deepest. Not just the lie itself, but what it reveals about the person you thought you knew. It makes you question every moment of honesty you shared. Betrayal doesn't merely break trust. It erodes your understanding of what was ever real. Even now, I find myself revisiting memories and asking, was that genuine? I won't pretend that I've healed completely. I haven't. But one thing I know for certain is that I deserve honesty. So, I ask you, if you were in my shoes, how would you have reacted? Did I handle the situation appropriately? Or was there another course of action I should have considered? I welcome your thoughts, as someone out there might be experiencing something similar right now, and your insights could help them find clarity.